Today, we're taking a look at a really interesting piece of tech that says it can finally end the guessing game when it comes to your personal wellness. The whole thing fits in your pocket, it hooks up to your phone, and in just 15 seconds, it gives you a number, a score that could totally change how you think about your health. All right, let's get right into it. You know, this quote right here just hits the nail on the head. So many of us do this, right? You buy the supplements, you try to eat a little better, but do you actually know if it's making any kind of real difference? That word, think, it's everything. It perfectly captures that uncertainty we all feel. We're kind of just hoping for the best, but really, we're flying blind with no real data to guide us. So let's talk a little more about this guessing game. I mean, we are all wading through this massive and, let's be honest, pretty confusing world of wellness products. They all promise to make us healthier, but how are you supposed to separate what's real science from what's just a good sales pitch? Get this, it's $1 trillion industry. That is just a staggering number. But what's happened is that more products have just led to more confusion for us. Every company out there is claiming their thing is the best, but almost none of them give you a way to prove it's actually working for you personally. And the thing is, our health is such a complex mix. It's never just one thing, you know? It's how fit we are, it's our environment, things like pollution and sun exposure. It's the food choices we make every single day. And yeah, it's the supplements we might be taking. All these pieces come together to create your unique health picture, and that is just a really tough thing to track. So to try and cut through all this confusion, there's this new piece of technology that's designed to bring some actual clarity to the table. We're talking about a device that wants to give you a real, concrete number, a starting point for your own wellness journey. Now, the tech to measure this stuff isn't brand new, but what is new is the accessibility. I mean, the older scanners were these bulky, complicated machines you'd find in an office. The new Prism IO shrinks all that power down into something that literally fits in your pocket, is way more affordable, and is super easy to share. That's a total game changer. And, you know, this device isn't coming out of nowhere. It's from a company that's already a huge leader in this space. In fact, Euromonitor has rated them as the #1 brand for these kinds of devices for 6 years in a row. So they've definitely got the track record. The company even has this cool way of looking at its history. They call it the 5 smooth stones of innovation. It started way back in the 80s with a simple philosophy, then moved to science-based products, and then boom, in 2003, they launched the very first biophotonic scanner. Each step really did build on the last, leading right up to this new generation of smart devices. Okay, so the big question, right? How in the world does this little device get a reading from your body just by touching your skin? It kind of sounds like magic, but it's actually built on some seriously fascinating science. All right, so the system has a name. It's called spectral ray technology. And it's not just one thing. Think of it as 3 critical parts all working together perfectly. You've got the physical hardware, a gigantic database of historical scans, and a really powerful AI model. So how do these 3 pillars connect? Well, first, the hardware. The device itself scans your skin using 5 little LEDs. They flash thousands of times to measure how light gets absorbed. Second, the software provides the context by comparing your reading to a massive database of over 20 million scans. And finally, a special AI model analyzes all of that to give you your personal score. I just love this quote from Dr. Joe Chang because it makes the whole concept so easy to grasp. An AI is just like a brain. It needs to be trained. And that huge database of 20 million scans, that's basically the schooling for the Prism IO's AI. It's the secret sauce that teaches the device how to translate a simple light reading into a meaningful score of your body's carotenoid antioxidant levels. And what's the result of all this new tech? Well, you get a scan that takes just 15 seconds. Seriously, 15 seconds. That is a huge improvement over the older models that took 30 or even 60 seconds. It makes it so fast and easy you can fit it into pretty much any routine. Okay, so we've got a handle on how it works under the hood. Now, let's walk through what it actually looks like for you to use the device and get your score. It's really slick. So the whole process is incredibly simple. You open the app, it connects to the device, you place your finger on the lens for that quick 15-second scan, and boom, your score instantly pops up on this cool, color-coded dial. Best of all, every single scan is saved so you can create a log and actually track your progress over time. But here's the million-dollar question. Does it work? Well, a preliminary study compared it to the older, bigger device. And while the exact numbers on the two devices can be a little different, the really crucial part is the trend. As people in the study took supplements, both devices showed their scores going up over 12 weeks. That confirms they're both tracking the same real improvements in the body's antioxidant levels. So, getting your score isn't the end of the story. In fact, it's really designed to be just the beginning. Think of it as the entry point into a much larger, connected wellness system. The number is just the key that unlocks the door. And this is just fascinating. Because of that massive database of over 21 million scans, we can actually see where most people land. A full 71% of people score in the low to medium, or moderate ranges. Now, what does that tell you? It shows that there's a huge opportunity for most of us to improve our nutritional health. The whole thing fits into this really smart, powerful loop. First, you get your score. That creates awareness. Second, the system gives you personalized recommendations to help improve that score. And third, it encourages you to get on a subscription to maintain your progress, which builds a really strong long-term customer relationship. And this roadmap really shows you the long-term vision here. The first version of the app, the beta, is simple. You connect, scan, and check your history. But look at where it's going for the full release. It evolves into a complete wellness platform, adding in education, recommendations, special offers, and even a shop right inside the app. And really, this is the ultimate goal of the whole thing. After decades of trying to explain the complex science of antioxidants, the plan is to simplify it all down to one single, understandable biomarker. So instead of needing to be a scientist, you just need to know your score. And most importantly, whether it's going up. And that really brings us to our final question, and it's one to bring it all back to you. It's one thing to hear about this kind of technology, but it's another to think about how you'd apply it. So, if you had a tool that could take the guesswork out of your wellness journey, what would you do differently? Something to think about. That's all for this explainer.